government of Ghana has refuted media reports suggesting a forced repatriation of some displaced Burkinabes nationals who are seeking shelter in some border communities in the Upper East region. The Ghana Armed Forces is currently on raid to check the influx of suspected terrorists, illegal immigrants, and some other persons believed to have disguised themselves as refugees and are residing in communities along Ghana's border, mainly in Burkina Faso. According to the Defense Ministry, about 20,000 of such individuals have so far been repatriated under the ongoing special exercise by the Ghana Armed Forces. In a statement released this morning by the Ministry of National Security, the government of Ghana says it has taken note of media reports misconstruing the road being done by the Ghana Armed Forces as forced repatriation of Burkinabe refugees. The statement says, on the contrary, Ghana is committed to accommodating displaced Burkinabe nationals and providing them with needed shelter. And it says, the ministry, in collaboration with the Ghana Refugee Board and United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, has accordingly established a temporary reception center in the Upper East region, capable of holding an estimated 2,100 displaced people from Burkina Faso. Currently, 530 displaced Burkinabes are being accommodated at the reception center. Additionally, Ghanaian official entities ensure that the displaced persons have access to free food and medical care. Also, as part of the measures to enhance containment efforts, a 30-acre land has been acquired for the establishment of housing facilities to host displaced persons. So it says, contrary to claims that displaced Burkinabes are being forced out of Ghana, a repatriation process has been instituted at the reception center to aid the movement of Burkinabes who wish to return to their country. The repatriation process is the Ghana government, while reaffirming its determination to safeguard the peace, stability, and territorial integrity of the country and promotes the welfare of the citizens of the country, would continue to undertake the necessary operations without compromising values, including respect of human rights, including the rights of refugees and displaced persons from neighboring countries. Let's stay on security because Sierra Leone has overtaken Ghana as the most peaceful country in West Africa in the latest Global Peace Index. Ghana has now dropped to 4th position from its previous second most peaceful country in Africa. The GPI by the Institute for Economics and Peace covers 163 countries, comprising 99.7% of the world's population, using 23 qualitative and quantitative indicators from highly respected sources, and measures the state of peace across 3 domains: the level of societal safety and security, the extent of ongoing domestic and international conflict, and the degree of militarization. Threats such as armed robbery incidents, highway robberies, attacks on journalists, political violence, the land guard menace, and other perceptions have been attributed to Ghana's decline. National Network Coordinator at the West Africa Network for Peace Building, Albert Yelyang, says he has been explaining the situation that have accounted for the decline, adding the country's economic challenges has also played a major role.
Have deployments. So we have security that is constantly in Boko. We have security that is also in the northern part of the country because of the threat of violent extremism. Now, we also have agro-pastoralist conflicts that has been a trend for some time now in many of the communities, especially in the northern part, Ashanti regions, Eastern and all of those, and the Volta, that many of these interactions have resulted into violence between community members and then the pastoralists. Now, if you look at the interventions and the presence of security elements, largely we have the military that is present in those locations. And so if one of the indices is looking at the type of security that is deployed, then it could be plausible to say that, or to agree with the report or the finding of the Global Peace Index, And so if you also look at the issue of economics, many of these things would have been playing out because of the economy, particularly incidences of armed robbery and some kind of attacks on people, like the bullion bank attacks, And so there are social tensions at the local community levels, based on the fact that the expectations of the populations are not really met, and this has stretched for some time now. And within the period of the monitoring, as per the report, has been dated. So I think these are some of the things that have contributed to the decline that we have. If you look at the decline, the report, 84 countries improved across the globe, then 79 dropped, and Ghana is one of those countries that has dropped. So it would tell us that there is something else that is not happening.
Head to Parliament because the minority is demanding a reopening of the procurement process to select a strategic partner for the management of the Tema Oil Refinery. Government has an agreement with the Tema, and we'll bring you details of that report shortly, because we'll try and get Kwekwa Sante, who is parliamentary correspondent, to join us and tell us more about this Tema Oil Refinery and the agreement. But first, listen to ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee, John Jinapo.
We've been following keenly developments at the Tema Oil Refinery. We have become aware of attempts by the Koforado government to lease the Tema Oil Refinery for a 6-year period to a company known as Torrenco Asset Management Company. Our checks has indicated that this company has no track record when it comes to oil refinery. It has no track record when it comes to the oil sector. And its balance sheet does suggest that it cannot provide the needed support for the Tema Oil Refinery. The Tema Oil Refinery is a strategic asset. It's the only state refinery capable of refining about 45,000 barrels of oil a day. If Tema Oil Refinery is well positioned and strategically positioned, it would result in millions, if not billions, of savings when it comes to import substitution. Unfortunately, the Koforado-led government has been sleeping on the job and has left the refinery to rot. Having failed to continue with the progress made under Mahama-led administration, they have decided to lease the Tema Oil Refinery to Torrenco Asset Management. And if you read the details of the contract, they are supposed to refine just about 8 million barrels. That is woefully inadequate. We believe that that contract is inimical. That contract will not inure to the benefit of the country. That contract will not benefit the ordinary Ghanaian. That contract does not meet value for money. We are therefore calling on the Koforado-Bawumia-led government to put a halt to this lease agreement, engage further with stakeholders, and ensure that we find a long-lasting solution to the problems confronting TOR. These firefighting approaches will not help the refinery. The refinery alone has seen about 5 different managements under the Koforado-led administration. It does appear that they are playing with the refinery. It does appear that there is no seriousness being shown when it comes to the management and revitalization of the refinery. And so we call on government to immediately halt this lease agreement and ensure that we go through a transparent process. We go through a process that gives everybody a fair playing field, equal opportunity, so that eventually we can identify a strategic partner that will not only ensure that the refinery is put to good use, but that the refinery serves the overall interest of the nation. On this note, the minority wish to serve notice that if President Koforado and Dr. Bawumia do not heed to our call, we shall use every legitimate and constitutional processes available to us, including parliamentary processes, to ensure that we compel this government to listen to the good people of Ghana. Enough of the mess in the energy sector.
The Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools has hinted that there are likely agitations at senior schools in the Upper East region soon. According to CHAS, the shortage of foods in some of the schools is creating tension between the school authorities and the students. The Upper East Regional Secretary of CHAS, Bukari Abdul, who spoke to JoyNews following the demonstration by students of Binduri Community Day School on the shortage of food leading to the partial shutdown of the school, said the situation is prevalent and is also at the boarding schools, and if not quickly addressed, can lead to demonstrations as witnessed in Binduri. Before we hear from him, let's listen to some aggrieved students of Binduri complaining about the 1 month shortage of food in the school.
I'm attending Binduru Senior High School. My concern is that since we came here, we are no more needles again. We want our uniform, no toilet for us. Anytime we want to go to school, we always go to the bush. Whatever, if something happens to us, what would they say? But if there is no uniform,
I am the person of Asana Nafisa, the incoming senior girls prefect. The reason why we are outside here but not in classes, our school, they have stopped cooking for us. They stopped cooking for us. That was 29th May. Up to date, they haven't started cooking for us. And we have sent it to the authorities, but there is no feedback. That's the reason why we are out here, but not in class. And since we came to this school, there is nothing like house vest. We don't know the reason why they are not giving us house vest. When we go out, we don't look like our colleagues. We don't know the reason why they are not giving us house vest. And secondly, our uniform. Since we came to this school, when you come to Bindusek, you have to get to Form 2 before you now get classes wear. We don't know why it is like that. And we don't have Friday wear. We are using our outing as Friday wear. So must we use outing as Friday wear? And when we are going home, we should wear that one. They are supposed to give us 2, but it is 1. We don't know the reason why it is 1, but not 2. We don't have exercise. The government told us that you provide us exercise. But since we came, it's 1 notebook. It's 1 exercise book. We don't understand why it's 1.
Binduri District Director of Education John Jagri Soka says there will be an emergency meeting today with the school authorities on the issue to get the caterer who has been asked to resume cooking on Monday.
Something that we have taken up to discuss with the management of the school. We are going to hold a management meeting. Yesterday I was in the school to meet the teachers and the final year students.
But what excuse did the caterer give for not cooking for them?
The caterer's excuse is that she hasn't been paid for her services, and she's still expecting some payment to be made to her to continue.
Did she tell you how long she has not been paid?
Well, I didn't get that from her, but I know she stopped cooking since the 29th of May. The students have been taking care of themselves.
So the students have been taking care of themselves for the past 1 month and a half, right?
Exactly.
At whose expense?
Definitely at the expense of their parents or they themselves.
And when was this situation drawn to your attention?
This situation, I visited the school on the 2nd of June, and that was when the headmaster told me about this incident.
So the emergency meeting starts today?
Yes.
And how soon are these students likely to return?
As I told you, the caterer said she's organizing herself to return on Monday to continue with the cooking. So we are hoping that they will be back by Monday.
We can now listen to the Upper East Regional Secretary of CHAS, Bukari Abdul, hinting there could be a spread of the agitations in other senior high schools.
What has happened in Binduri is likely to influence other students in other schools to also agitate. As they kept reporting during our conferences, we've always advised them to report to the immediate superiors, as the district or municipal directors, and then they will deal with the situation with the federal authority.
Now, away from the day schools, the community day schools, how dire is the situation of food in the boarding schools in the region?
Yeah, in the boarding schools, we only have challenges with some particular food items. For example, granules has become a problem. From January up to now, we have not had milk. Bread flour too has become a challenge.
From January till now, you have not received milk?
We have not received. We do without it. We do without it. We know buffer stock and prisoner high school are in charge of supply of food to the schools. So we look up to them. So our appeal to government to look at those areas. Granules, in fact, has become a serious challenge. Without granules, most of the meals becomes a challenge. So we'll appeal to government to continue to do its best like it has been doing.
Living in a community that often gets flooded is very stressful. There have been many instances where flooding and stagnant waters have led to the loss of lives and property. In today's episode of Floods of Trauma, Nana Boachi Yadom visits Umwim and Sewa in the Ashanti region, where residents have abandoned their homes due to floods.
Each year, flooding causes more deaths than any other hazard related to thunderstorms. It wreaks havoc on development infrastructure and increases human casualties all over the world. In the Ashanti region, Ohum and Sewa are known as flooding communities. Residents experience heavy flooding anytime there is a downpour. Adjoa Tichiwa and Mary Owusu are residents of Ohum and victims of floods in the community. They narrate the difficulties they go through anytime there is a downpour.
Anytime it floods, the Nyenesu River is unable to house the flood water, allowing it to get into my house. We would realize everything is wet, including our mattresses.
So na and they say mensa ebu me ha ma betwa kase no ebu no ama na gi na me koya ekokasi maame so ne ba na chi side you speed pa nti se wan nwane ampa ba bi amfa na mi dwane a ebu me nsam mun na mi dwane ebu me nsam se ba no ampa ba bi amfa digidi pa na beti yeslamo.
I broke my arm when my house got flooded. The flood waters are heavy, so while escaping, I twisted my arm. We plead with the government to do something about this.
So Gemana do yam do say yane yamma wontimi nwura fie so ne yila wontimi nkofie san twe pa anya de abetimi wura fie wo be wura fie so na sa wo ne yamna nti yaslamo wo him ti go junction na yewo yapamo chew. We get traumatized anytime it rains. It destroys our goods.
The flood breaks down walls, leaving residents to adopt terrifying means of getting in and out of their buildings.
Now this is the Nyenesu River, which is supposed to house flood waters anytime there is a downpour. The situation now is that the Nyenesu River is choked and it is unable to house the flood waters. Not forgetting that the Nyenesu River serves as a means of entry and exit for residents living here in Ohum.
Streams and gutters in these communities are stored with sand and waste materials. Left unattended, the clogged gutters and blocked streams lead to several instances of flood. At Sewa, some residents have abandoned their houses as flood takes over their homes.
This is the Susan River in between Sepe and Asebi. Anytime there is a downpour, residents living here in Sepe and also in Asebi are left homeless.
It is true.
This house, when we were here, this was the best house around this particular place. But now, because of the flood, the person has vacated the place. The one who is in the house now is just a caretaker. And even the little flood, he has to leave.
President Koforado has eulogized the late writer, poet and playwright Ama Tedu as a very influential African icon in the literary arts who will be sorely missed. Speaking at a final funeral rite held at the forecourt of the State House, the president urged all to emulate her legacy in the literary arts.
We were saying that every time an elder dies, some amount of stored knowledge disappears with him. However, that cannot be said of the woman whose life we're gathered here to celebrate this morning. Exceptional woman, knowledgeable teacher, famous poet, public servant, flawless storyteller, outstanding writer. She possessed an excellent mastery of the English language. Like many, I'd heard about the news of the death of Ama Tedu with great sadness and sorrow. The community of writers has lost one of its greatest members, one who will be extremely difficult to replace. She was my contemporary in the 1960s at Ghana's premier university, the University of Ghana, Lagos. Even though she was 4 years older than me, she was someone with whom I enjoyed friendly and productive relations. Through her work, she made a tremendous contribution to the development of our country and continent and expressed so many of the feelings about our fate as Ghanaians and indeed as Africans. Ama Tedu carved a stunning career spanning 7 decades, where she's famed for, quote, taking African literature back to one of its primal origins, unquote. She exemplified the famous words of that great Kenyan writer, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, that the written words too can sing.
Daughter of the deceased 83-year-old writer Kinali Kimani described her mother as founder of the Stubborn Academy to demonstrate how firm and resolute her mom could be in her stance whenever there was a need to take critical decisions.
That feeling of opening my mother's study or bedroom, bounding in at age 3, 15, 26 or 49, fully intent on disrupting whatever she was doing. That moment when she looked up at me with the love and the joy in the world, tinged with a bit of surprise, as though she could never quite believe that I was her daughter. That look contained the world and was my world. After that moment passed, then I had to quickly figure out what was up with her. Because my mother's navigation of the world was grouped into 2 primary categories. I'm writing or I'm not writing. She was most at peace when she was writing and most unsettled, discontent when she wasn't writing. She could be celebrating a beloved birthday and thoroughly enjoying herself, or she maybe has gone to do revolution with some uncles of mine. But if one looked deep into her eyes, far past her loving embraces and famous hugs, somewhere deep inside her, a pool of dejection and despair had started to form. This pool would grow and threaten to challenge the Gulf of Guinea for sheer size, till one day, Kina, I wrote a poem. Let me read it to you. That she was a master of all the literary forms, the poem, the short story, the play, and the novel, is not only a testimony to her brilliance, but quite literally, it meant deliverance came sooner rather than later. She never suffered writer's block. Her challenge, as she often articulated it, was the space to write. Space here is cover for physical space, financial space, space from the public, space from family, space even from me, mental and emotional space. African women writers must have the space to write.
8 dams constructed under the One Village, One Dam project in Bongo, Kasana, Nankana West and Talensi district, all in the Upper East region, dry up at least by January because the dams cannot hold enough water. Farmers told Joy News they leave the water for their animals to drink and are unable to farm during the dry season as the program intended. The first 2 parts of Hotline documentary titled Testy Dams features editor reports that farmers are pleading with government to coerce contractors to return to the site and do a better job. The documentary airs on July 17. Here are excerpts.
Water to the northerner is like blood. When we have water, we can do a lot of things for ourselves.
And without it, unemployment, poverty, and famine. To escape, many young people travel down south for supposed greener pastures. The NPP government provided a solution: one village, one dam.
The then candidates and then the running mates visited a chief in one of these villages and met the women digging the ground with their bare hands for water. So when they saw that, they said, well, when we come to power, we will provide you with water that can be better than what you are using your bare hands to construct. And that is how come the promise of one village, one dam.
I'm saying every village, one dam. One village, one dam.
The policy appealed to the people in the northern regions.
The government came here and told us that they will be giving us dam. And our people assured them that if they give them dam, they also let them laugh. And really, you can ask our assemblyman and even ask the NPP people what this community did for them. They voted massively for them.
It was a political promise that won the hearts and minds of the people. The dams should make it possible for farmers to farm all year round and break the cycle of waiting for the rains before cultivation.
Getting water from the ground is capital intensive and laborious. Climate change has also worsened the reliability of these groundwater systems. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is therefore employing artificial intelligence to predict water availability in the ground. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has more for Tech Thursday.
The project is dubbed Rapid Assessment of Groundwater Availability, RAGA. Now, according to the principal investigator, Dr. Cyril Boateng of the Department of Physics, the project will build an AI-based system for groundwater which can be accessed by the public through their smartphones and computers.
The project is about developing a system to be able to rapidly assess groundwater availability in Ghana. There's like a pilot phase, so we are going to start with the Densu Basin in the southern part of Ghana. But the whole idea will be that if you want to check whether I want to drill a borehole, at what depth would I find the water? We want to create a system where you can go to a website, just put in your location, and then the output you receive will tell you, okay, if you drill a borehole to 50 meters, 70 meters, or 100 meters, whatever the case may be, you will get groundwater in this location. Possibly in the future, we want to extend it to the point where you could even just check what will be the quality of water that I will get in this area. Or is there possibility that the water will be polluted, maybe because there's a factory near you and all that. So that anytime you want to assess, let's say, groundwater anywhere in Ghana, you just go to this website, put in your location, and you can get a stack of information that can help you determine that should I really drill a borehole or should I not drill a borehole. We can even expand it to the point where if, for instance, in your area there's too many people, we have too many people depending on groundwater, anytime you put in your information on the website, we can tell you that it will not be sustainable because there are too many people taking groundwater from that area. So that.
If you just joined us, we're still live on JoyNews Today. We're bringing it to you from our studios in Kokumlimli. We're on the Fanofa streets. Let's take a break. When we return, there's more coming to you from business.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Today with me, Pius Kojo Baka. The Bank of Ghana has assured savings and loans companies across the country of putting up measures to address issues of non-performing loans and high interest. According to the central bank, it has observed the challenge facing players in the sector. Speaking on behalf of the governor, head of banking supervision at the Bank of Ghana, CIGC urged members of the sector to comply with regulatory standards as the central bank continues with its effort in ensuring financial stability. He spoke at the 13th annual general meeting of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies.
Mr. Chairman, indeed, ensuring regulatory compliance and maintaining sound risk management practices are crucial to the survival of any deposit-taking institution, including SNLs. In this regard, the bank recognizes the association's ongoing efforts to ensure compliance with regulatory standards and will urge all SNLs to aim at full compliance. Mr. Chairman, touching on engendering sound risk management practices, the Bank of Ghana has observed with concern some increases in non-performing loans, NPLs, and increases in funding costs, which may sooner than later threaten the safety and stability of the subsector. It is imperative that prompt corrective actions are put in place to curb the rising trends in NPLs and also to diversify funding sources to enhance profitability and foster customer confidence. Mr. Chairman, despite the challenges faced by the SNL subsector, it is expected that regulatory reliefs coupled with strict regulations and supervision will help maintain stability over the short term to medium term.
Now, government has been urged to support the training of biomedical engineers to develop quality medical equipment and devices for the country. Well, this is expected to boost the health economy and consequently the GDP rate. Chief Executive Officer of ADB Medical Systems, Benjamin Adan, disclosed this to Joy Business after a 3-day training for biomedical engineers. There is more in this report.
Many countries are now generating significant revenue from the health economy through diversification of services. Speaking to Joy Business after a 3-day training for biomedical engineers, CEO of ADB Medical Systems, Benjamin Diaz Adan, said Ghana must prioritize its health economy. He pointed out that his outfit's aim is to deliver high-quality medical equipment and healthcare solutions for its customers.
What we do is that we are specialized in delivery of quality medical equipment, and we source from top-class manufacturers, and we are into hospital construction as well. So when these equipments are in, we partner the various health facilities across the country. What we do is that we bring in the biomedical engineers from the various regions and from the districts across the country. So we bring the manufacturer to provide training about the futures of this equipment to them. When they get this knowledge, they are able to go and help the end users to be able to put the equipment to good use. In fact, we are providing quality healthcare delivery, and we want to instill that sense of responsibility to everybody along the chain.
Dr. Nicholas Ejapong, the head of Biomedical Engineering Unit at the Ministry of Health, said the government is doing everything possible to grow the health economy.
The Ghana government during the COVID period initiated a number of things to make our health systems very strong. We know what happened during the COVID time. It was so difficult and stressful for all of us. So as a result of that, government embarked on an ambitious project to make sure that what is required to make diagnosis quickly, to treat patients and support care in our health facilities were all brought on board.
And that's all for business for now. I am Pius Kojo Bakadar. I will be here at 1 p.m. with the Marketplace Sport.
Time now for showbiz, and his life is dedicated to bringing the God dimension into the world through sounds imparted to him by the Holy Spirit. His passion is worshiping Jesus and leading others closer to him through music. On Spotlight today is Dusin Oyinkan as he talks about his visit to Ghana, what's upcoming musicians must do.
I love Ghana. Ghana is dear to my heart. I've been here many times, and it's always a delight to come and then just join in the worship of God in this land. And
the reception that you got this evening, did you see that coming, and how does that make you feel?
Well, no man takes this honor to himself except he who is called like Aaron is called. I believe that it's God that puts honor on people, and if you're a smart person, when you receive things like that, you take it back to the one who owns it. So, I mean, I don't really know how I feel, because it belongs to him, and we just gave it to him.
How did it all come about, from Joe Metal? But I want you to...
Joe is a brother, and I've always loved him, love what he does. I love his style, I love his personnel. So when he reached out to me last time, I'm like, hey, bro, next year, June, I'm like, consider it done. I want to be here. I love what you do, and he's a voice in the land.
Joe, have you listened to any sound here, and are you looking forward to collaborating with anybody here in Ghana?
Well, collaboration is by the Spirit, I believe, but I have very good friends. Denzel Prempe is my very good brother and friend. He was the one I came to Ghana for the first time through Denzel. And then, Pastor Denzel, God bless you. I love him so much. And MOG, these guys are doing very well. And this awesome lady, Diana, I'm meeting. I love her song, Aduo. I love you so much. The essence of my... so Aduo. So I love it so much. These are great guys that the Lord is using, and hopefully by divine instruction and guidance, we believe we'll be able to do something together in the nearest future.
And this brings me to the part where I don't know about the entertainment industry or the gospel industry back home in Nigeria, but what is working for you, and what advice do you think you give to the younger ones who are looking forward to becoming somebody like you?
I believe that grace is the unmerited favor of God, and what I can say to young ones coming up is stay with God. Stay with God. God will, at the right time, release you to your world. Just stay with Him. Stay in your place of worship. Stay in your place of fellowship. Build capacity. You will need to build capacity. The journey ahead is long. The angel told the prophet, eat, for the journey is long. This may be a word for someone. Eat, build capacity. Eat there means to build capacity. The journey is long. Let the Lord Himself announce you. Don't try to play smart. Just let the Lord announce you. It's sweet when the Lord announces.
On July 29, 2023, a superstation, Joy 99.7 FM, will assemble stakeholders of the tourism, arts and culture industries at the Labadi Beach Hotel for the third edition of the Showbiz Roundtable. The program will tackle the dynamics of sponsorship in the creative space. It seeks to understand how creative people can get sponsorship from corporate institutions and entities for their content and events. There will be an opportunity to shed light on what both corporate Ghana and the creative industry stakeholders require of each other with regards to sponsorship. The Showbiz Roundtable will also spot the challenges faced by both parties in the sponsorship chain. There will be keynote speakers from the creative industry and the corporate sector to lay foundation for the discussion. That is it for Showbiz. And that's it for World News, and that's how we wrap up the bulletin as well this afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories, including National Security Ministry refutes claims that displaced Burkinabes are being forced out of Ghana, and Ghana's fiscal economy to recover strongly. Budget deficits to narrow substantially to 5.7% of GDP in 2023. That's according to Fitch Solutions. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.